Today we're going to look at some mathematical proof that God is very involved in the affairs of the nation of Israel. Beginning in the year 1897, this was the year that Theodore Herzl convened the Zionist Congress, the first Zionist Congress, which was held in Basel, Switzerland. And there were the founding of the modern Jewish state, although it wasn't known at that time. And that was also the first occurrence of the flag that we know today of Israel being flown at that time, the blue and white with the supposed Star of David on it, that we know today was first flown at that first Zionist Congress in 1897. Moving forward 20 years, we come to the year 1917. Now, this was the year that British General Allenby conquered the city of Jerusalem. And the story goes that he got off his horse and walked in on foot out of respect for the holy city. Fast forward 30 years from then, and we come to the year 1947. Now, this was the year that the United Nations began to partition the land in the Middle East, and shortly thereafter, the nation of Israel was born in 1948. 20 years from that time, we come to 1967. Now, this is the date of the infamous 1967 Six-Day War in Israel, in which Israel defeated the combined enemies surrounding them, and in a miraculous 6 days they wiped them all out, to say the least, and it obviously had to be a miracle from on high. And that was 1967. Now, moving 30 years from then, we come to 1997. Now, most people don't know what happened in 1997, but if you count from the year 4004 BC, if you count 6,000 years from then, you come to the year 1997. 4004 BC was the year that Adam was created, and many people believe in biblical chronology that 4004 BC was the time Adam was created, and that God inspired a 6,000-year plan for man, followed by another 1,000 years for the return of Christ and the millennial reign of Christ. So 1997 marks the end of the 6,000-year period. Now, why did not Christ or the Messiah return in 1997? Well, of course, you could speculate on that, but it is my personal belief that he's probably holding back maybe another 20 years because 20 is the number of biblical redemption. And perhaps he is giving the entire human race another 20 years in which to redeem itself. Of course, as I said, this is speculation on my part, but we will have to wait and see on this. Because 20 years from 1997, we come to the year 2017. And in the year 2017, we could possibly see the return of the Messiah, or it could also be the beginning of the day of the Lord, which is actually a year in fulfillment in time, so it would end in 2018. And that would be the return of the Messiah in 2018. So let's look at some biblically significant numbers, beginning with the number 20. 20 is the number of redemption, as I have said, followed by the number 50. Now, 50 is the length of a Jubilee cycle. It is also the number of Pentecost. The number 70 is biblically significant because it is the product of God's two perfect numbers, 7 and 10. The number 70 can often be found in the Bible, as well as the numbers 7 and 10 by themselves. And when you multiply the two, it's like perfect spiritual order. So the number 70 is always biblically significant. And the number 100 is two Jubilee cycles, or the number of fullness, as in hundredfold blessings. And finally we come to the number 120. Now 120 is the length of time that Moses lived. It is the amount of time that Noah had to build his ark. And in Genesis chapter 6, it is what God says is the days of man, 120. Now, just as a side note, if you multiply 120 times 50, which is a Jubilee cycle, you come out to 6,000, which is 6,000 years, or the time of man to be followed by the 1,000 years reign of Christ here on the earth in the kingdom of God. So these are just significant numbers, and they really tell you how well God is involved in the affairs of the nation of Israel. If you try using these numbers on any other nation, it simply does not work. Only the nation of Israel. Now, if we start again with the year 1897, we add 20 years, the number of redemption, we come to 1917, the day that General Allenby conquered Jerusalem. If you add 40 from 1897, you come to 1937, which is the beginning of World War II, and 40 is considered the length of a generation, or the number of trial and testing. If you add 50 to 1897, you come to 1947, the year that the United Nations began to partition the land in the Middle East, which would soon become the nation of Israel. If you add 70 to 1897, you come to 1967, the year of the Six-Day War. If you add 100 to 1897, you come to 1997, the end of God's 6,000 years for man. And if you add 120 to 1897, you come to 2017. Starting from 1917, if you add 50, you come to 1967. If you add 100, you come out to 2017 again. Beginning with 1947, if you add 20, you come to 1967. If you add 50, you come to 1997. And if you add 70, you come to 2017. And from 1967, if you add 50, you come to 2017. So all in all, it works out for the year 2017. This is the possible date of the return of the Messiah, or it could possibly be the beginning of the Day of the Lord, as it's called, which is actually a year in fulfillment, so it would end probably in the year 2018. So this is something to keep in mind, and it's also strong mathematical proof that there is a God, and he is very involved in the affairs of Israel.